Within 1,000th of a second of the detonation of that bomb, a fireball would form, reaching out for 4 miles in every direction. Within this area, temperatures would rise to 20 million degrees, hotter than the surface of the sun, and everything would be vaporized. The people, the buildings, the trees, the upper level of the earth itself would disappear. That's to 2 miles in every direction, 4 miles across. To a distance of 4 miles in every direction, the explosion would generate winds greater than 600 miles per hour. Mechanical forces of that magnitude destroy anything that human beings can build. To a distance of 6 miles in every direction, the heat would be so intense that automobiles would melt. And to a distance of 16 miles in every direction, the heat would still be so intense that everything flammable would burn. Paper, cloth, gasoline, wood, heating oil, plastic, it would all ignite. Hundreds of thousands of fires, which over the next half hour would coalesce into a firestorm, 32 miles across, covering over 800 square miles. Within this entire area, the temperature would rise to 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit. All of the oxygen would be consumed, and every living thing would die. In the case of the New York metropolitan area, we're talking about something like 12 to 15 million people dead in a half an hour. And if there is a large-scale war between the United States and Russia, that level of destruction will be visited on every major city in both countries, and if NATO is involved, on most of the great cities in Canada and Europe as well. A study that we did back in 2002 showed that if only 300 of the 1,500 warheads that the Russian forces maintained in their strategic arsenal, if only 300 of these warheads got through to urban industrial targets in the United States, 75 to 100 million people would die in the first afternoon. All told, perhaps across the US, Russia, and Europe, 200, 300 million people dead. In addition, the entire economic infrastructure on which the rest of the population depends would be destroyed as well. There would be no internet, no electric grid, no food distribution system, no system for distributing fuel oil or gasoline, no public health system. And in the months following that initial attack, most of the people who survived the initial bombing would also die from starvation, from exposure, from epidemic disease, from radiation sickness. These are only the direct effects. We have to consider also the even more calamitous climate effects that would result from a nuclear war. The best estimate we have is that a war between the United States and Russia would loft 150 million tons of soot into the upper atmosphere, blocking out the sun, dropping temperatures in a matter of days by an average of 18 degrees Fahrenheit across the entire planet. In the interior regions of North America and Eurasia, the temperatures would drop 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. This is much colder than the coldest moment of the last ice age. And under these conditions, all of the ecosystems which have evolved since the end of that ice age would collapse. Food production across the planet would essentially stop. The vast majority of the human race would starve to death, and it is possible that we would become extinct as a species. This is not the plot of a grade B movie. This is the danger which we have been living with every day that we have allowed nuclear weapons to exist, and a danger which has been greatly intensified by the events in Ukraine, as Michael just described to us. It is a totally insane situation that we have allowed to exist.